Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with the Disability Policy for All. Today I have the great fortune to be talking to Jamie Vickery from the Martyrdom, who is she is the Director of Federal Affairs here, Martyrdoms. So welcome, Jamie.
Great, thank you for having me.
Today we're going to be talking with her about the Zika virus. This is the second interview that we have done about the Zika virus, but since it's such an important topic, we want to do a follow-up. But before we get to talking about the Zika virus, I wanted to ask you, Jamie, can you tell us a little bit about your organization, the March of Dimes?
Sure. So March of Dimes was founded in the 30s by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president. And he had polio, obviously, and so he wanted to found something to prevent polio and prevent the spread of it and more people from getting polio. So March of Dimes, when it started, was completely designed and organized to prevent polio, to develop a vaccine. As we have gotten that vaccine and almost completely eradicated polio, we had to change the mission of the organization. I like to brag and say that we're one of the few nonprofits that actually did what it was set out to do. And so our mission became healthy babies and healthy pregnancies. And chief among that is birth defect prevention and helping take care of people who are born with some of these issues. And that's how we got involved in the Zika issue, is around the birth defect angle. It was a natural fit because pregnant women and their babies are so vulnerable to Zika that it became a natural fit and something we really took the ball and ran with on this.
Okay, great. But before we get further, what does you said
Eradicate?
Yes.
Oh, it means to wipe it out, or there's still a few cases of polio left in the world, but it is not what it was even 50 years ago. So it's almost completely gone. We've almost completely eliminated polio.
Now let's talk about the Zika virus. I know that the Congress has authorized more funding to go towards Zika, and that's wonderful. Can you share with the audience what are the things that are being done with this funding?
Sure. So the last week of September, Congress authorized or funded the Zika prevention efforts at $1.1 billion. So that money will go to a lot of different things to fight Zika. It will go towards working towards a vaccine to prevent people, to make sure people don't get it in the first place. It will go towards controlling mosquitoes, because we know that mosquitoes carry the Zika virus. It will go towards health services for low-income women and their families. It will go towards public awareness and education, making people aware of what they can do to prevent Zika. It will go towards better research on the disease. We still don't know a lot about what it does or how it spreads or the long-term impacts of the Zika virus. So all of that money will go just to research and to taking care of people and to preventing it in the first place.
Okay, great, thanks. What kind of disability can result from the Zika virus, and what kind of supports will families need if their child is born with these type of disabilities?
Sure. So we have, there's a link between Zika and microcephaly, which is babies born with very, very small heads. Their brains don't form the way that other people's do, and it can cause a whole slew of conditions. The most obvious of this is microcephaly, when these babies are born with very, very small heads. Because their brain development hasn't processed as it should, these children have a wide range of issues, and they need all kinds of support, from things like Obviously, lots of doctor's office visits to check their development, speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, social services for these families. And a lot of times a parent has to quit their job and stay home and take care of this baby, so the families need some financial services as well. We are finding that microcephaly is the end, or the very extreme of what can happen to somebody with Zika. It may cause a not quite as obvious, but also some issues for people, things like vision or hearing problems, learning disabilities, developmental delays, behavioral issues, and we don't quite know all of what that will involve. The first group of babies born with this in South America are only about a year old. So we don't know completely what these children are going to need over the space of their lifetimes, or what their families are going to need. But it is true that we're going to need all sorts of supports for these families and for these children. And one thing that we are moving towards is looking at the education system, special education systems, early intervention programs, not just in the healthcare world, but more in the community and education world as well, as these children get older.
Are there ways for the audience to prevent getting the Zika virus?
Sure. There are, the steps you want to take are the very same steps that you would take to prevent mosquito bites, because mosquitoes transmit Zika, so you want to protect yourself from mosquitoes. And that is things like using bug spray. You want to make sure it has DEET in it. It has to have DEET in it to be effective. It doesn't always smell particularly great, but you do have to use it. You want to wear, if possible, long pants and long sleeves if you're outside where there are mosquitoes. And if at all possible, you want to stay inside, use a screen instead of opening the window. Turn on the air conditioning instead of leaving all your windows and doors open to catch a breeze. That's also how mosquitoes come in. Also, and part of this hasn't really been talked about so much, is that Zika can also be sexually transmitted. So people who have been to areas where there is Zika transmission need to be very careful and use condoms when they're having sex. Even within a monogamous, committed relationship, people need to use a barrier method.
Okay, you mentioned DEET?
DEET, D-E-E-T, and that's a chemical that is found in bug spray. And I know it makes everyone uncomfortable to think about putting chemicals on your skin, but you certainly do need to use it in this case.
Okay, great, thanks. And the last question is, where can our viewers learn more about the Zika virus?
Sure. So March of Dimes has a really great website, and it's really easy to remember. It is zapzika.org, zapzika.org. And also, if you need information in Spanish, that's available in our Spanish language website, which is nacersano.com, NACERSANO.org.
And what does that mean?
So ZAP stands for Zika Awareness and Prevention.
Okay, thanks. And if you have any more questions about this or any other policy issues, please go to this week's In Brief and look for this week's In Brief. And if you have any questions and comment about this week's Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Thanks, and have a nice day. Thanks
Liz.
again, Jamie. Bye.